You're listening to Fight Night Extra on talkSPORT 2 with me, Gareth and Davies, and him, the one and only Dave Coldwell. This Saturday, talkSPORT brings you live commentary of the undisputed world heavyweight title fight between Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois from Wembley Stadium. British heavyweight Dave Allen will be part of our expert boxing team who will keep you up to date with all the action from the start of fight week right through to the final bell. Right, Dave, this is where you come into your own. Let's start with Usyk. You prepared Tony Bellew for the fight against him when he was in his pomp at cruiserweight. Come on, how difficult a fighter is he to get someone ready for?
Oh, Gareth, so difficult. It's you know what it is? It's trying to get the sparring, especially at cruiserweight, because it was a different animal at cruiserweight to what it is at heavyweight. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit easier at heavyweight, I would say. But at cruiserweight, to try and get somebody that had the moves that mimicked the triggers, the feints, and that was as good and punched with the volume. There was not many around. It was very, very difficult. We used. I managed to get. I got a Russian over. We used. Who else do we? We used quite a few. Just what you do is if you can't get the package, you'll just get a few different sparring partners that have different attributes that might add up to the one. But the best one that we had was a Russian kid. Not something that you'd know. A lot of these sparring partners are people that you don't know, but he's difficult, mate.
So when you first looked at him and you started to break him down and analyse him, what were the things that stood out to you about Usyk when you looked at the tape as we call it on him?
His triggers, his feints, his twitches, and how he stops you from setting and has you resetting all the time. And he'll go trigger, walk off, go trigger, and he would, the minute that you put your hands up there, he'll put your hands up there. That's when he goes to work. Once your hands are long, he's very cagey and he doesn't want to punch with you. He'll take care of defense, and then as soon as you stop punching, it doesn't allow you to breathe, doesn't allow you to work. And it was very difficult trying to find a chink in the armour when you were going through tape, as you say. And then I remember I saw some footage where he got dropped in the amateurs with a body shot, and I was like, "There you go, that's the one." That's when you're just looking for that one little chink in somebody. You thought, all right, okay, he is human. And as it's turned out, you look throughout his career, he's never really liked body shots, even in the pro game. He doesn't like. He always complains. That was the other thing I said to Tony. Every time you bang him to the body, whether or not it hurts him or not, he complains. He looks at referee. He plays that game. He doesn't. He adjusts his protector. He doesn't like getting it to the body. We don't all like getting it to the body, but he complains a lot when he gets to that. So that was the one big take I took away from it.
Do you when you look at the Dubois fight with him the first time, then 22 months ago in Wrocław in Poland, do you feel that it was a low blow at the time? Let's go over it now. Oh, yeah. You thought it was a low blow? Yeah.
Yeah, because there's also pictures and things like that are very, very good, because you can get a picture where it's on the end of the shot where the punch has risen, and so then, well, that's not low. But then if you get the shot at the beginning where it actually connects, it's low. So I thought it was low, but also this is part of Usyk. He's very, very clever. We always say, I remember Brendan used to say to us, if you get a hit in the nuts, milk it. Yeah. Take your 5 minutes, get your rest, milk it. And also it makes the referee think any other body shot that comes, that's low. Yeah. So he played the game. If the ref had started counting straight away as though it was a knockdown, it looked, and he'd have got up. It would have got up. It's not. It's not.
I agree with you completely. I mean, I've always said he milked it. My feeling at the time, sitting ringside working for talkSPORT that night, was he was almost looking to get Dubois disqualified as much as that, even for the low blow, that he didn't actually want to get up. That, like you say, milking it to the ultimate degree, and that's awareness, radar, perception, all those things. Because Daniel Dubois, if I can ask you this, in that first fight, even though he wasn't winning a lot of the early rounds, I still, my recollections are that I was watching him having success against Usyk in lots of ways and being tenacious.
Making him
Yes.
uncomfortable. So my perception of that, another reason why I believe he took as long as what he did, is because fighters like that, and again, intelligent fighters, if somebody's getting into a rhythm, your first job is to take them out of that rhythm. And by sitting on the floor and having time drag out, that rhythm is going away from him.
Yeah.
Right? And especially when you're a young fighter who's is now going to be a little bit. It's mind games as well as physical when you're in boxing. And I'm with you. I felt as though Daniel was making him uncomfortable. But Gareth, I'm going to say this. I've watched, like I said, I watched Usyk all the way through his career. I've watched everything, every minute of his career, and he has a lot of fights where he is made uncomfortable
Yeah.
early doors,
Yeah.
but he rides it out. When he fought Marco Huck and people like that, when he was at cruiserweight with Breeders and people like that, he's fought guys that look like they're going to beat him or look like they potentially could beat him, making him uncomfortable, making him do things that he might not necessarily want to do. But the guy who rides it out, he's got a mentality that is
Yeah, I
unbelievable.
agree.
And then he rides it out,
There's no quitting
turns it
him.
around.
There's no quitting him. And what he does, which the very greatest do in all sports, be it Maradona in football, be it Ali in boxing, be it Johnny Wilkinson in rugby, the very best adapt during the contest, don't they? And they change the pattern of the fight. Ben Stokes in cricket, they change the pattern of the game. They've got that ability that other people don't have.
Which is why they're elite. Which is why they're on that next level. You have good sportsmen. You have very, very good sportsmen. Then you have the elite. The elite are the elite for a reason. And it might be mentality. It might be little things that they do. It might be where when things are really, really tough and it looks like they're on the verge of getting beat, they can turn it around because they don't press that panic button. They don't make the fatal mistake that ends up getting them knocked out. Like I said, yes, he was uncomfortable, but after those uncomfortable moments, like he does normally in all his fights, he rides it out, turns the screw. What did he do? He turned the screw.
Exactly. Well, he's done it so many times. He did it twice against Tyson Fury as well, didn't he? Let's be honest. And look, the for you, how much impact? Let's go to the fight itself. How much impact will the first fight have had on the pair of them?
In terms of Usyk, I just think his fights that he's been having since he's moved up is a smaller man, naturally smaller man. There's a lot of wear and tear on this body of his. You know, he's not the same fighter as what he was at cruiserweight. He has to work even harder because of his style. He has to work even harder at heavyweight to get past the size of these guys to do what he wants to do, and then not take punishment on the way out. So it's very, very intense for him, even more intense for him at heavyweight. When he's getting hit on the arms, the shoulders, also in sparring, this all takes a cumulative effect on you. When you get into 38, 39 as he is, it's more of an effect. So these fights are really, really taking a lot out of him. The impact on Dubois, I just think Dubois is a different animal to what he was. He's learned and he's improved so much since the first fight that the only thing I would say that he doesn't try and get him out there, because at the end of the day he got dropped twice and quit. I think it was in the first. He got dropped twice, didn't he? And basically quit in that fight with Usyk. As long as he doesn't try and prove a point too much, because that can make him a little bit too eager and then make mistakes. So I think both fighters will have been affected from the first fight and the fight since. But I think in Usyk's case, it's more wear and tear and more far of time catching. It's more of a negativity. Although he's had that great success since, he's had the greatest successes since with the Fury fights and what have you, I just feel as though he's had more taken away from him that scar him. Whereas with Dubois, I think he's growing and he's developing.
Well, that's why.
So that's why
we're all giving him a chance. I think. Here's the way. I mean, you see it very similar to me. Although I differ with you on. I think Usyk is not getting better. He is just what he is.
Yeah, he's not getting better. I don't think he's
But
getting
he's an
better.
elite fighter who knows his way around, will use his ring generalship in this fight, knows that Daniel is a more dangerous fighter this time. He's come through 3 terrific performances against Jarrell Miller when he learnt to dig deep, bite down on his gum shield and come through
Yeah.
against a man I describe as like a giant sofa. It's like punching a giant sofa with Jarrell Miller. He doesn't go anywhere. And he was brilliant. Hrgovic, he took a lot of punches early in the fight from the right hand and came back and really clattered Hrgovic and stopped him. And I think against Anthony Joshua, he just showed up. He really, really showed up. And I've been up in camp with Daniel Dubois, and I'm just penning a piece on him right now from a sit-down interview I did with him, and went for a little run with him as well. Looked at the Wembley arches from the farm that Don Charles has created for him. Don Charles has been very good with him over the last 3 fights. The fight with Usyk was the first fight with Don.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I think Daniel has grown. I agree with you. Grown as a person, grown as a fighter, and that makes him more dangerous. So
100%.
that's where I am with it. But let's go to the fight. Usyk's the favourite with all the bookmakers. Dubois, there's big money on Dubois. They can earn big money on Dubois winning in any of the first 4 or 5 rounds. That's where I see him as most dangerous. But I'm going to put colours to the mast right now as we begin fight week, and we're off to Wembley to see them all today. I think it'll play out similarly to last time, and I think Usyk wins on points, and I think Usyk takes over after rounds 5 or 6, and he might even stop Daniel late. But I just think that he's going to win on points by a margin of a couple of rounds or more. How about you?
I'm in line with you. I don't think he stops him this time round, because I think Daniel's a lot tougher mentally now. And I think it was I think he stopped him because his fragility mentally back then. But I do think that if Father Time hasn't caught up on him, I know it's ifs and much, but this is real. This is real. When you're at this stage of boxing and the wear and tear that Usyk's had, my worry for Usyk going on after the Fury fight was, is he going to be the same fighter? Because those were such horrible, hard fights for him. Now, if Father Time's not caught up on him, I think he's too good. Yeah. That's as simple as it can be. I think his skill set is too good for them all out there, to be honest, right now. And I think he wins the fight on points. But Daniel Dubois has got this power, this serious power, and it's heavyweight boxing. You just do not know. So
exactly.
I give Daniel,
and I think that's a great point, that it's heavyweight boxing, and that you said about him being 38 and a half. There are factors here that wouldn't completely surprise if Daniel does get the win on Usyk. Usyk, and we'll come to this in relation to Tyson Fury and then the third section today. Do you think he's close to the end?
Yes. I was surprised. I'll be honest with you. I was surprised he took this fight. I was surprised he fought on.
Very interesting because members of his team have expressed that. No names mentioned, but some members of his team believe he should have walked away after the 2 Tyson Fury victories, because that legacy that Joe Calzaghe, Lennox Lewis have got, so Mayweather's got, but that you can't buy that legacy. You've earned it, haven't you?
No.
And he only needs a defeat to one of the youngsters. I say one of the youngsters, one of the younger heavyweights, and it does disarm that legacy slightly, doesn't it?
I only think that he's took this fight because he's a very proud man, and because there are people that think that the low blow wasn't a low blow, and Usyk should have been beaten in the first fight between them. I think if there wasn't any of that sort of controversy, and if it had just beaten Daniel Dubois routinely, I don't think he'd have took this fight. I think that's why. I think it's pride, ego that's obviously it's a nice pay packet, but I think that opens up the door why he took this fight. I don't think he should have took this fight. I don't think he should carry on boxing. I think he's ticked all the boxes, and beating Daniel Dubois a second time doesn't do anything for that legacy that's not there already. So That's all in my opinion.
We'll talk about his split with Alex Krassyuk next. You're listening to Fight Night Extra on talkSPORT 2. Next up, we'll also ask where this weekend's fight leaves the heavyweight division, and we'll discuss Manny Pacquiao's return to the ring. You're listening to Fight Night Extra on talkSPORT 2 with me, Gareth and Davies, and him, the one and only David Coldwell. David, we were talking about Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois in the last section. What a huge week it is. I just want to quickly ask, because I forgot in the last section, Lawrence Okolie and Kevin Lerena this weekend as well. Fascinating fight for Okolie in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what Lawrence can do in the heavyweight division because he's got the frame. He's absolutely huge. His debut at heavyweight, it looked massive. I couldn't believe the weight they'd put on. Obviously, he's got to grow and get the feel of the division. But Lorena's a good test. It's a good fight for him. Lorena comes to win. He's got plenty of heart. Decent fighter. So yeah, I'm happy with that fight for Lawrence's progression in the division.
Yeah,
I think Lawrence pumps him out.
I think he wins by stoppage in the round 6, 7, 8. I think when he gets to Lorena, but Lorena will go in and under quite a lot and could make it awkward for him during the fight. But it's still a good fight. But this is a very big Lawrence Okolie, and I think he's got a future in the heavyweight division. We talked about Usyk just now and what he's bringing into this fight against Daniel Dubois. What do you make of the split with Alex Krassyuk, by the way? What is that a sign of?
I was shocked. I was really shocked for that. The timing of it, and it was just weird. And I don't know if there's anything else that's come out your end, what you know, Gareth, but it's still a mystery for me because they're very, very, very close. They're a really tight unit. They're good pals, mates, business associates, and I just find it all strange.
Yeah, well, look, if it goes wrong for Usyk against Dubois, one of the recriminations, one of the discussions, one of the investigations, the forensic detail will be, why did he split with Alex Krassyuk now? Obviously, we know that promoters take a huge margin of the fees for fighters of their earning capacity. So there's that. And for me, it was a sign that it is very close to the end, that he's been counting a little bit. He's counting the beans. I have spoken to Alex Krassyuk in the background, said we're going to miss him this week. He's not around at all. He isn't here. Sergei Lapin and the team are now running things in the background for Oleksandr Usyk. If anything doesn't go right for him in the week, the eyes will be looking for Alex Krassyuk because he's a consummate professional. He's always easy to deal with. He's brilliant with the British media. He's become very popular. And he used to finish Usyk's sentences for him, if you recall, at press conferences. So I do think he'll be missed.
Yeah, it'll be missed because I think on a personality level, when you have somebody around you constantly all the time, when they're not there, you do miss that.
They take the pressure off, don't they? They take the pressure off you.
Yeah. And there might be moments where you might have certain conversations with these people that do help alleviate the stress, the pressure as well as publicly, that aren't there now. All of a sudden you miss them. Now, I'd be more worried if it was his training team. I'll be honest with you. If it was a change in his training team, then you're going to go, oh, what? Because that has a direct impact and effect on actually your preparation for a fight, what's going off in the corner with the fight. But your promoter, that side of things, it's maybe not as much as an immediate effect on fight night, more so the build-up and the personalities in the camp.
And one of the big things, obviously, the heavyweight division is alive. It's amazing to think that it was 22 months ago that Usyk and Dubois fought. And look at what's happened in the heavyweight division since. And look at where we're at. Frank Moran's got 8 of the top 12, 15 fighters in the world.
Yeah.
We've got all this stuff going on. But it feels like, and let's talk about Tyson Fury and Joseph Parker and Anthony Joshua and Ajit Kabayel. It feels, and we've got top 6 in the division there, if you like. It feels like everyone is waiting for this fight to finish on Saturday night before making any big decisions on where their future lies. Tyson Fury saying that he wants Oleksandr Usyk on April the 26th next year or whatever it is at Wembley. That ain't happening. That was just him putting it out there. My understanding is he'll have a tune-up and then fight Anthony Joshua. But Anthony Joshua, as Dubois said to me, he's gone missing, really, isn't he? Dubois said to me in this interview I've done with him, he's gone missing. And he is missing a little bit. It's 9 months since he fought now. We still haven't got a fight on the horizon. I'm quite surprised by it. Joseph Parker obviously fought an 11th hour Bacoli that was meant to be Dubois, obviously on February the 22nd. Ajit Kabayel has not got a fight either. What's your take on Fury, Joshua, Kabayel and Parker? Are they all waiting for this fight to play out to see where they go next?
I think you're right there. I do think that everyone's just waiting for Saturday night and just seeing what happens, see how the land's going to lie there. Tyson Fury and Usyk, no, not going to happen. I agree with you. I think it's a fight back, and then it's the AJ fight. Get it done.
Well, yeah, but why isn't it? Why isn't it getting done? That it's just so they will regret it later on, in my view.
100%, they will. It's that's like I say, that's real. I know, not in terms of how much you rate him as great, but British boxing legacy. That's what it is. That'll be right there at the top. British boxing legacy. AJ, I just think that you're coming towards the end of his career. He's gone from being the flagship, the spotlight, for the lighthouse, guiding all the ships in, the rest of the division coming through. He's not that man anymore, and he's comfortable in his life. He's comfortable in his own skin. If he wants to fight, he'll fight. I believe he's had a shoulder injury or something like that.
Elbow or shoulder.
Elbow.
Yeah.
So there's rehab there, and obviously while you're in rehab and when you're injured, you're away from the spotlight. And if there's nothing to say, then he's not going to speak. He's not that kind of guy. So he's gone quiet.
Doesn't stop you naming an opponent, though.
No, true, but I don't think he's interested in any other opponent apart from perhaps Tyson Fury or Daniel Dubois because he gets a shot at the belt.
Makes sense.
I think they're the only two. I think they're the only two names that he's interested in at all to get back in that ring. And I think because Dubois got Usyk, he needs to see what happens with that. Another one that's waiting on Saturday night. And because we don't know whether Fury's retired or not, there's nothing to talk about him. What I would say is Fury coming out and saying, he wants to fight Usyk. If I'm AJ, then I'd be jumping on that, saying, well, forget Usyk, why don't me and you? And put the pressure on him to get this fight happening again. But AJ is very, very laid back, innit? So he's not even jumping on that. But can you imagine, there's a lot of fighters out there, if they want this huge mega fight, and then the fighter mentions somebody else, they'd be straight in there saying, hang on a minute, forget him, what about me? Let's get this done.
Well, it's one of the things that's broken about boxing, isn't it? When guys are extraordinarily wealthy, and it's not necessarily broken about boxing, it's just the nature of the beast. I say it's broken, but it's the nature of the beast that if you've got enough money in the bank, you don't have to worry about it. And it's a very tough industry, and these guys are in the spotlight, and they're putting themselves on the line, their legacy, their ego, all of those things, and their physicality, obviously, in their lives. Then they're going to go, no, my promoter and my manager are sorting that out. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it on social media. And but we are at a bit of an impasse. And I do think the walls will start to crumble in a little bit after Saturday night. Like if Dubois beats Usyk, then we'll have, the king is dead, long live the king. It'll be a new era. It'll be the younger guy era. We'll start to project towards Moses Tauma fighting Daniel Dubois at the end of next year. We'll start to look at Joseph Parker. Should Parker be getting the shot now against him? If
Dubois beats Usyk, does Dubois against Fury get made?
I don't think it does. Well, it's possible, but Fury's coming off a loss at the moment, so I'm not sure meritocratically he deserves. It might work. It might work.
Don't talk about that at the moment. Who deserves title shots at the moment?
Yeah, commercially it does work, but I'm not sure. Well, it's a very tough fight for Fury. He might fancy it. He has spoken recently of he'd knock him around and teach him a lesson. I think when he was out in Turkey, he did an interview at the IBA press conference and Golden Era thing. He said that, but it's fascinating, really. Look, on other matters, because you've written a piece. Which is fascinating with the BBC. Elsewhere, of course, this weekend, a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao returns to fight Mario Barrios who's not the biggest puncher in the world, but he's a real tenacious stud in the ring, and he's a young man for the WBC welterweight crown. You've written a piece for the BBC saying that you won't be tuning in. I was at 20 of his fights, by the way. I don't think I will be either. No, I will be. I will be watching. Because for me, if anyone's capable of pulling off a miracle, as Bob Arum told me he needed, and if anyone can do it, it's Manny Pacquiao. You wrote an article in the BBC website saying you will not be watching this. Can you explain?
So, Manny Pacquiao is one of my all-time favourite boxers, one of my heroes. Roy Jones, the same. When these fighters get to a certain stage of the career so when Roy Jones got knocked out by Glenn Johnson, that was it. I was like, I'm not watching him anymore. And I never watched any of his fights again. I never did, right? Even though I'm massive, I can't watch because that's not the Roy Jones that I know. And it's the same with Mike Tyson. After he got beat by Kevin McBride, I was like, that's it. Never going to watch him again. And all his exhibitions or his little fights after, I never watched them. When him and Roy Jones, there was a big exhibition or something that they had. I didn't watch it.
Good, you did well to miss that.
I'm not interested because they're my heroes. I look at them and I put them up there. So I don't want to watch them in this form now. Manny Pacquiao's the same. Manny Pacquiao's an unbelievable fighter. Unbelievable. What he did, phenomenal. He's been retired for God knows how long. He's 46 years old. He's not won a fight for 6 years. And he had an exhibition last year, I think he had, where he looked absolutely horrific. You're going to put him straight in for a world title fight. Somebody said to me, yeah, but George Foreman won. But George Foreman came through and had fights.
Had 19 fights when he came back before he won the world title.
Built himself back, lost, came back again, and then become champion. So he built. He didn't go straight back in. This with Manny Pacquiao, I think it's wrong. I think it's not good for Manny Pacquiao's health. It might be great for his bank balance, but it's not good for his health. And I don't want to see this aged version of Manny Pacquiao. Listen, if Pacquiao looks sharp and half decent, he's juiced up to gills. There's no getting away from it. That's the only way this guy's going to look anything remotely like the Manny Pacquiao that I used to watch.
Well, you couldn't have said it more poignantly than that. We're going to leave it there for today, David. Thank you so much for joining us on Fight Night Extra. I will be watching Manny Pacquiao because if I'm not on the green, I'll be watching it on the screen. It's a massive weekend. It's been brilliant to speak to you about all the stuff upcoming this week. You're a legend in the sport. Your insights into Oleksandr Usyk today have been fantastic, by the way.
Thanks, man. I've enjoyed being on. Thanks for having me on.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.